Hi guys, good afternoon. It's good to see you. It's time for another Facebook Live YouTube training. So today we're going to talk about abandonment. The real question here is, does abandonment haunt you? Does it lurk in the past? Does it tell you nasty little things about how you're unworthy, or nobody will keep you, or they might abandon you, or they might betray you, they might leave, you might get left? Do you have a real fear about connecting with another human being because other people have left you too, especially when you needed them most, when you were deeply in pain, when you were going through a tragedy, when you were growing, you're dealing with a massive uncertainty. There was a failure in your life. Something happened that caught you and it hurt and you were not taken care of. These are one of the most common kinds of traumas we experience as human beings. We are stuck. When that happens, we're left stuck in the experience of unresolved emotion, right? And that's what gets us, that's what trauma is. It's an unresolved experience of a massive amount, a massive intensity, basically. So if trauma haunts you, this is the video for you, okay? So I tend to do these videos a little off the cuff. I don't have a script today, so we're just going to go with it, okay? All right. Also, guys, thank you for answering the question in the group about the impact the group has been having on you. It helps me gauge how well I'm doing, how well my assistant is doing, and how we're curating content and things, because I want this to be effective for you. So thank you for answering that. And number two, let's get to this. So trauma, again, is what does not happen after a major event. So if you want to learn more about what trauma is, how I work with it, how I resolve it, then check out the previous videos in the group, or they're in the trauma training category here on YouTube, okay? So with that said, let's get to abandonment. Abandonment, what is it? What does it mean? What's going on? Well, abandonment is when we have an attachment to an individual. We have an emotional investment. We've identified with them. We've leaned on them. They've been reliable for us, for some of our needs, for some of our well-being, for some of our safety, that kind of thing. And they leave. And they don't do anything about what we have attached to them. They're just gone. We're left to deal with this massive loss, this massive unknown that is then stuck in our body as feelings of shame, emptiness, loss, grief, betrayal. Okay? As we depended on the person. We were connected to them emotionally, energetically, psychologically, and now they're gone. What this is it's a loss of what's called object permanence. So in clinical terms, in the clinical world, we have this thing called object permanence that we develop as children, and we develop it throughout our lives about people, places, and things. And what this basically means is if a person, place, or thing is reliably showing up a certain way, then our brains, like that person, that thing, that place, exists when it's not in my awareness. Okay, so we don't always have to be aware of the person. Like, the person doesn't have to be in front of us in order for us to believe that they exist. When they're gone, they still exist. That's object permanence. This is a process that starts very, very young in life. Like, when between the ages of 0 and 2, we develop object permanence about our parents, depending on how reliable they are in responding to our cries and our needs for help. So, and that has to deal with attachment and how we attach to them and stuff like that. But object permanence itself is oriented from that point of view. It's just like, okay, they're reliable. They're always there. And then in a tragedy or an abandonment or a loss, that object is removed from our experience. Not consensually. It's not something we chose. It was done by an external force, either by their choice or an act of nature, an act of God, that kind of thing. And now the brain has to adapt to it. And this is called, what's an adaptation to broken object permanence. This is where we feel grief. This is where we go into shock. This is where we can't believe they're gone. This is where we can't believe they did the thing they did. It's where our brain feels like life is normal, and then we get slapped with the reality that it isn't normal anymore. We're in a different normal now. That's object permanence adjusting or adapting to whatever the event was, to whatever the change is. With abandonment, we are stuck in that process. We don't get out of it very easily because our brain is looking for a very important reference. If you go back to attachment theory, and I've got some videos in the past on this, when we attach to a person, we're also attaching part of our identity to them. Part of our value and our understanding of the world is attached to their feedback. This is a normal thing. We do this. We'll do this as children. We do this as adults. When we really identify with someone, when we have love for them, we fall in love with them, those kind of things. And then it's removed, our brain's trying to go, what do I put in that space? Because now I've lost a sense of myself because this person is gone. Or the thing is gone, or the place is gone. We do this with homes, we do it with objects, cars, people, dogs, things that have sentimental value to us. And it's gone, and then we have a problem, right? Who am I without the thing? What do I do? And with abandonment, there isn't a recourse because there's no way to access the thing that is gone to gain perspective. So we have to go through a grieving process that's not technically like normal grief. Where normal grief, Frank's model of grief is we have anger and we have denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance. With abandonment trauma, we go through a process that a lady named Susan Anderson describes as swirl, which means we feel shattered. Our sense of self, our reality, our orientation in the world is shattered into little bits. We don't know what's going on anymore. Okay? Then we withdraw. That's where the W comes in. We withdraw from the world. We withdraw from love. We withdraw from ourselves. We go within. And then we internalize. We make it really personal. I did this. There's something I must have done to cause them to leave me. I wasn't a good mom, or I wasn't a good dad, or I wasn't a good brother or sister. I wasn't a good son or daughter. I wasn't a good spouse. Not a good employee. I caused this. So we really internalize it. And then we go into rage. This is where we start advocating for ourselves. This is where we start blaming the source of the loss. Like, you left me, you did this, you cheated on me, you did that thing, you did this over there. It was you. This is what begins to lift us out of that internalization, which is typically accompanied with depression. And then that results in what's called lifting, where our sense of value becomes autonomized again, and we can have ourselves again in this new adjusted relationship to that object, whether that person, place, or thing. And we have psychologically, definitely look it up, Melissa, because Susan Anderson's work is really good. And I model a lot of my the Thrive strategy stuff on personal development comes from her material. I use a lot of her concepts in that. So very good work there. And so to heal this abandonment, we need to reconstitute a new object in our psyche that we can relate to, we can govern with. Now, most of the time, what happens to us is we look for another external value. We go look for another relationship, another house, another car, another object. When what we really need to do, and this is how I heal abandonment, is we need to create an internalized object that we can then reference. And in the closure technique, there's, if you've been watching this trauma series, in the closure technique, in step 4, there's a process called follow, need, want. And that is when we create a new object for this aspect of self that's been abandoned to attach to and grow through. So, like when I've had a couple of clients over the last month that have been doing the process, doing the technique, and dealing with some abandonment. And so what I've had them do is bring in the big need, because all trauma has 2 needs. One, the need for safety, and then whatever the need is after that. They needed someone to love and care for them. So we brought in a permanent parent that this aspect of self could attach to and grow through. That created an internalized permanence or object permanence for that self, which greatly reduced their sense of abandonment. Didn't completely eliminate it, because we're going to still be attached to the people we have actual relationships with. But the intensity of tragedy, the intensity of the abandonment, where it arrests our brains, makes us feel crazy, is greatly reduced. And that right there is a miracle for people who deal with abandonment trauma, because now they can go out and have relationships relationships that can last, relationships that don't terrify them. They're not terrified if the person is going to leave. That's going to hurt because that's natural, because the bond is broken if they leave. But they're not petrified. They're not paralyzed by it anymore. Now they can live. They can love. They can lean into it. They can have an experience there because there's no longer an interference of fear with being left. That's the magic of healing the broken attachment or the abandonment wound there. So Rosalind says, yes, I've been experiencing this new attachment fulfillment. Yes, with the new parent energy. Exactly. And you're doing that through, Rosalind, you're doing that with a tool out of the addiction to connection system in codependence confidence. That's such a badass tool. I'm very proud of that tool. So yeah, this is how we can heal abandonment so we can thrive. We can move on from it. We don't have to suffer with the terror anymore. And this is a very personal subject for me because many of you know this, but I deal with aspects of borderline personality disorder. And BPD is rooted in abandonment. It's a massive, intense reaction to abandonment. And so learning how to regulate object permanence internally has helped me. It's changed my life because now I'm not terrified of losing people, even though we will sometimes. I'm not paralyzed. I can still function. I can still live my life because now my brain isn't like, it still does its things when this happens, but I'm still able to take on life and do what matters. I'm able to thrive. So you can heal, okay? You can actually find peace from your abandonment, reconstitute your life, and move forward into relationships, into experiences, into accomplishments that matter to you without having that haunting feeling that I'm going to get left, or I'm not worth keeping or loving or being known. The way we can accomplish this for you is through the closure technique combined with other, you need the trauma healing with the closure technique, so that's out of the way, and then we just adopt skills to it through Codependency Confidence. And that's what you get with the Get Closure Now 6-week course that starts here in a month from yesterday, actually. So I invite you, if you're looking for real healing, you're looking for that peace, you're looking for that calm, you're looking for that freedom from your trauma, apply for your spot in it. We have 16 spots open right now. That's going to fill up fast in the next 4 weeks. And if money's a concern, don't let it be. Reach out, connect with me. Let's see what your situation is, and we'll make it work. Okay? So you can do that by clicking on the link in the description above or below, depending on if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Or you can go to closure.freetheself.com and apply. And then you and I will have a consult session where we'll look at what you're dealing with. I'll give you some tools and guidance with that situation and see if this is the appropriate fit for you right now, because maybe it's not. Maybe you need something different. And I've got tools for a lot of different situations so we can get you what's appropriate for you. Okay, guys? So again, thank you for, let's see. Rosalind says, yes, closure technique with Marshall combined with the addiction to connection course. Yes. Boom. And then repetition with the meditation. Yes. Repetition. We're recoding that brain, getting it oriented into that new object, getting it rooted in. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the course, Rosalind. It's going to be cool. So again, thank you guys for being a part of the community. Thank you for contributing the way you do. The love we have in the community, the support we have, the acceptance we have is very important. As you can see in that question I asked today, I want to take the temperature of how things are working because it matters to me and it matters to us that we're here, because that's my goal. I'm not here to have a normal community. I want us to be growing and thriving. And so we are accomplishing that. And that's because of you. You guys are making that magic happen, and I appreciate that. So, lastly, remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And if you are ready for closure in your trauma, join Get Closure Now. If you're ready to jump in and start actually healing from codependency, get your membership to Codependency Confidence. The links are above. If you're on Facebook, the links are below on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and share this video with people whom you know can benefit from it. Thank you again, guys, for being here. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.